minute taking, it's just a little easier. You're
Okay.
not in the room.
Perfect. So when you guys come on and make motions and seconds, do you want me to go back and do that again so we have
No,
coverage?
you don't, just, yeah, that's okay.
Okay. So Tina was primary and April was secondary, and the motion passed with all in favor. Okay, that takes care of that business, which moves us to the old business, which I'm going to hand over to look through the 3 parcels that we were looking at in December.
So attached to, there we go, to the agenda, the 3 reports that we did, and they will have looked very similar because really we used the same PER report that we gave you the first time around when you evaluated to decide if it made it to the eligibility pool or not. But we've added for this meeting's consideration, added the staff report portion at the very end, like the last page. So we gave you from the environmental and the planning and the real estate perspectives, and then a general recommendation, what that amounted to. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at them, but what we would do is for each of these at this point, and at this point, where we're at in the practice is these parcels at the last meeting were deemed to be eligible, right? So they went into the eligibility pool. And the next step for them is for staff to bring you back this more consolidated report, and then you determine whether you want to advance them to the board, which is called a priority pool. If not, then they go back into the kind of like a holding, they'll stay ineligible. We don't just eliminate completely. And you would vote on each of these independently. So one of the things that I guess we all need to kind of work out in this whole practice point is staff's going to provide you with this information. Do you want us to provide it to you like I did in the agenda, and then you on your own before this meeting, this version of the meeting where you're making a decision, go through the map and bring your own score sheet? Or do you want to do it kind of like we're doing tonight, where staff brings it to you, you can ask us questions about what we put in, and then at the next meeting, you would bring your scores in at that meeting? And that might be a little bit much to take in right at the moment, but I'm going to bring up the map in a few minutes that we're using for creating our recommendations, and that you will be using with your score sheet to rank and these parcels, or the attributes for each parcel. I guess I should put it that way. So I guess I'll walk through these and then kind of give you that information for each of these, and then we can move on to like the map part of it. I don't know what you feel like, and your comfort with this process.
Yeah,
I know it's new for all of us.
I think working through this stuff would help, and then the map, because I don't think any of us have seen that yet.
Right.
Just as a discussion point while we move forward, to me, I kind of think that if we took the applications and you went roughly through the score sheet on our own time, and anything you didn't know or didn't understand, leave blank, and we can have discussion. But if we all come to these meetings once a month and have to go from scratch on 7 to 12 parcels, I think that's too much time. So I think let's walk through the examples and stuff, and then we can discuss it as a group after. But that's the way I would lean, just to save everybody's time late on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Yes.
That sounds great, except the attachments didn't come through to me,
Okay.
so I don't know what to say.
I didn't send, did I send attachments or no? I didn't. It was the link to the county's website because the agenda's there.
So one way to fix it potentially, so the issue, maybe you had the same issue, when you go to the agenda and pull them up, they don't come up as a PDF, they come up as like a web page PDF. So
Yes.
maybe if you could just send the PDFs themselves would be an easier way to pull them up.
No, because they're gonna be really big and I'm not gonna be able to
Ah.
email them. So let me
But
pull,
I'm looking at it and I'm getting the same thing, but it doesn't link.
okay.
So
I'm gonna have to pause for a moment and
And-
walk over to her desk and just see what you're
maybe I'm
seeing.
doing something wrong.
Do y'all have a way to share, do we have a way to share a drive?
So
possible?
here's your mail,
Uh-huh.
okay? I mean.
Yeah,
and
Google Drive
then
or something like that? I don't know what the
go
county
down
uses.
Come on.
Oh,
Wait a minute, where is it? Let's just go to here. If I click onto here, I
Okay,
get
that's-
nothing,
yeah, no, that's different.
Oh, okay.
okay?
What does that?
Or Dropbox or something
So
like that.
here's your
I don't
agenda.
know.
I mean, that's just.
That was just the agenda.
Right,
That wasn't
right,
the.
right.
Okay,
Right, so,
yeah, not the items. Let
Yeah.
me walk through it online.
okay,
Oh, we did. I just remembered, we had trouble getting it. I know what the problem is. You didn't get it because what you got was basically the agenda to say, hey, these are the items we were gonna talk about. No, they don't have, so let me bring that up so everybody can see the same thing, because I'm gonna be putting these all out now on the website. Our new software. Okay, so you're gonna get a link from me that's going to take you to this same place. This is the agendas and minutes. Whoops, no, it's not. Hang on. Wrong page. Agendas and minutes. And so the Land Conservation Committee meeting for March 17th. There's two ways you can pull it up. Online agenda, in that first column, is an HTML link that you can click on. You cannot print the document that it opens up, but you can click on, so there's the agenda, and the blue hyperlinks are for the minutes and then the things that were attached. So each parcel's evaluation report is attached that way. If you want to print, but like I said, you can't print this page of the agenda itself. The other way to do it is to click on the PDF link, the little pink, that's the second column. And that will open up a PDF. It'll have all of the documents in it in one document. Once it loads, there it goes. And that in Adobe you can print. So you've got a print icon. Yep, this will have the agenda, it'll be the entire agenda, so then there's the minutes from all the meetings, and then each staff report that's attached, and it's all one document. That's okay. So you can do it either way, but you'll need to go here if you want to print the front page, you probably don't want to print out the entire thing, but you'll want to either be able to bring a laptop or a tablet or something, or have printed out stuff, that you're going to need for evaluating the properties. So, I apologize for the confusion. No, it wasn't just you. Yeah, we couldn't get it to populate properly on time, and so I apologize for that. But going forward, you should be getting a link from me that says the agenda's on the website. Click here, it'll take you to that, and then you can download or just print or whatever you want to do. Okay. So, probably don't need that again. Okay, so this was the first one of those 3 parcels, and do you want a little refresher about what was in this report, since I know you saw it once before? I'll just kind of skim through it. So the first page will give you the parcel information, who the applicant was, if it's the same as the owner information, whether it meets primary or secondary conservation goals, a little description about the property, and then a bunch of maps, you know, locational, aerials, soils, flood zones, topographics, a habitat map, and historic resources map, and then a little bit about what's surrounding the property. And then these staff assessments. So for this one, we have, Liza does all our environmentals, and Samantha and I'll do planning staff. Mostly that'll be her, and then real estate is Caleb. And in this case, staff was split in its recommendation about whether or not it should go forward. But we'll give you whatever our collective assessment is for each parcel. We're gonna have based these assessments that we do on the map, which I need to bring up for you. So this is gonna be the online map, and once we've finished talking about it tonight, we haven't made it public yet, so the link is not, it's not on our website actively, but it exists as an active map. So after tonight, we'll start that process, so it'll be ready for the next meeting. And I think I'm probably gonna wind up letting Liza drive in just a minute, because she's been working with this a little bit more in-depthly than I have. But for each of the, let me go find that. You remember your score sheet that has all of these criteria, right? Some of them are a little bit, so that look familiar to everybody, right? Yeah. Okay. So for each of those, we need to have a corresponding data layer, or more than one if we feel that, you know, we need additional sources, or there's more than one that gets you that information, but at least one on this map that will give you the data you need to make the assessment for that particular criteria. There are a couple of criterias on there more near the bottom that are more subjective and not data-based. So those, of course, wouldn't be on here, but for the rest of the true environmental stuff, we should have links. And I apologize it's taken us so long to get this to you, or ready to be given to you, but the number of those links, data sources, you know, were a little tough to get, and our GIS team was having some trouble with that, but I think we're good now. So you would be able to come in here and turn on, you know, layers as you are interested in, make your assessment from it and move on to the next one. You probably don't want to have a lot of them open all at the same time. But I think, Liza, would you like to kind of like walk through some of these and tell them what you found as you were trying to assess it?
Yeah, so I've had a little time with it. Liza Kane, Parks and Recreation. So starting off here at the top in the search bar, you can put in an address. I believe you can also put in a parcel number. Let's see if that works.
You should be able to. You may have to drop down.
Again. Okay, well, I've been using just the address, so that works perfectly fine. this to CR 220. Over to the left here, switch your base layer or your base map. Have a measurement tool. You want to measure mileage. Start by clicking. Switch that to feet or miles. Zoom out a little bit. We'll start with the first layer, the parcel data. As you zoom out, the lines can get kind of muddled. But if you click on these little dots on the right, you can change the transparency. That helps there. So as far as protected and endangered species, we have a couple things here. We have the red cockaded woodpecker, which you're going to find in more of western Clay County. You click, and we have some eagle nests as well. If you click on the eye here, it will highlight some areas as you zoom out. We see some locations around Doctor's Lake. If you click on the dots again to the right, you can look to details to get more information on this layer. So for category 1 on our matrix, the protection of drinking water and resources, we have the water supply. We'll click back on the eye here, and that will remove the eagle's nest, and we can see the water supply, which are very difficult to see, but you'll see there's some kind of yellow dots here. I need to, it's a little more transparent on the parcel lines.
Are those wells?
Those are the, public water wells.
Something. The aerial, using just like the base map, like a parcel map as a base. But then there's other things where the aerial image is more valuable.
Yeah, the wells tend to be a little harder to see, and I think we had issues with making those easier. But as you zoom out, they are a little easier to see. Just when you zoom in, it does get harder. The pink dot is the private wells. And then as we go to the next category, protection of threatened and endangered species. Like I said, we have a few options here. We're still working on getting more layers. So we have the eagle's nests, red cockaded woodpeckers. That is pretty much all we have right now for that category. And then protection of rare and important habitats. We have a few options for that. We have the longleaf, specifically for longleaf. Now you can see that. Underneath, of course, you'll see a key. The cooperative land cover, you have a lot more options, a lot more keys for different habitats. Okay, there's our spot right there in the middle. Click and remove that. And a few others. FNA's habitat conservation priorities. There we go with the darkest color being the highest priority. Under representative natural communities, If you go to the details here, you see that these are underrepresented natural communities that make up less than 15% of the original extent of that community. For the protection of farms and working forests, we do not have any layers at the moment. We're still working on getting layers for those. We've had a little trouble finding the specific ones for that. Social and human values. I don't think we have anything really resource-based. Actually, let me scroll down here. I think we have some parks one on here. Let me see if I can find it. Priority areas for new parks, with the darker color being the highest priority.
That's a county set priority? That's set by
I don't think so, no. I think that's,
I'm not sure
where's that layer come from? I don't.
that.
Oh,
That's from the master
Okay,
plan,
it
from
is from-
the
yeah,
county
that is county
master
data.
plan.
Sorry.
We have that for, I'm not, we don't have a lot of detail on this one. Maybe we can get some more added to it. So there's two of those, one for place and one for urban areas. And then as far as acquisition issues, I did add on, or had added on here were the, sorry, give me 1 second. Oh, the Florida Forever project boundaries. Go back and take off our parks here. And Florida Forever boundaries. So that was added on there, just in the purple highlighted boundaries. Those are areas that have yet to be unacquired portions. So those could be potential matching funds for properties. And yeah, I think anybody have any questions? I'll do my best to answer, but I've had a little bit of time, just a little more than, the staff to play around with it and kind of go through the matrix.
Thank you for. Okay. So I will send you all an email with the link and I'll send you a table with the criteria and then the corresponding data layers that we think that they match up. And you guys now have access to the agenda, so it's on the website, so you can pull up these 3 practice ones and try it out and try to fill in, your scores, what you think. I think it would be probably beneficial to do that between now and then April, and then come back for the April meeting and actually have your discussion of, what scores did you put down, and kind of do that discussion and voting thing. But that's just kind of my feedback. If that's what you feel, then we'll go with that route. Because I know you haven't had a chance to get hands-on with this map yet and the score sheet to try to figure out how to make sense of it, and utilize it to make a good decision.
Will you attach the rubric?
I will email you, yeah, the score sheet again, and I'll send you the table, like I said, that, you know, kind of matches them up, so you know where to, where to look to answer this question is, you know, kind of like what layers. And as you do this, if you find that, because this is my best guess, right? You know, that a certain one really can also be answered by another layer, please, you know, email me, let me know. Because, you know, I want to end up with a final template that we can all rely on that is, yes, these criteria are answered by these layers. And for those of you that, you know, deal with this GIS world more often, if you have other sources that we need to put in here, then please do let us know. So we can get the map finalized and get it pushed to the public's view and access.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, we're kind of working on, at DOT, we're kind of working on a similar, like, map
Uh-huh.
for, you know, all of Northeast, North Central Florida. Are you limited to, like, only using a map that you've created, like the county's created, or?
No, the map itself we've created, but these are all data layers that are public layers. So if you're seeing source, you know, data layers on the map you're familiar with that you think fits in with these, then answers the, you know, then, you know, let us know. We can go out and get those, as long as they're public sourced, you know, data, then we can incorporate it if it's something that's used really to answer any of those criteria.
Yeah, there's, DOT has a specific environmental screening tool,
Uh-huh.
and that's open to the public. There's a public facing side.
Okay.
So that might be something, I mean, there's probably not the layers specific like to the county, but it's pretty broad, like
Yeah.
natural resources and cultural stuff.
Cool.
The land cover, it covers, it's really broad, so
Okay.
you could, maybe I could send
Awesome.
that or something.
Yeah, just send me a link. We can go check it out and see what we can borrow. Thank you.
I'm not sure where it would fall, but probably land that's already under a conservation easement, public lands. I'm not sure if that's a layer you have in there.
It is under, let me just turn off.
But I think
that
that's one of our evaluation keys is adjacency to,
Yep. Existing conservation land. So we've got federal, state, local, and private.
okay.
Now that
What about
private is
conservation
sort of
easements?
limited.
Because I know I can get that one. I know I can get that layer.
Okay, that would be, yeah, awesome.
I think it's actually on the property appraiser's website.
Yes. And this was, I don't see that coming up here
Yeah,
because
it
I'm
should be
seeing.
under private. I would think that would be the easement.
You would think, but I,
Go down a little bit. I'm interested in if mitigation banks are on there.
no. No, because it doesn't, well, I don't, let me go look at the details.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Not sure what that blue is. Private.
It tells us, I'm not sure it will. Manage.
Can you click on it? Usually, there's like a pop-up. If you click on the,
On one of the parcels?
yeah, like one of the purple ones, it
Okay.
should, if they have it turned on. Yeah, there you go. So you can
Okay.
see exactly what it is.
Oh, thank you.
Mitigation bank. Yep. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a good layer.
Highlands Ranch, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Florida Natural Areas Inventory layer, and it is self-reported, so there could be some stuff missing, but it's generally pretty good. Like, I've compared it to other, there is like the National Conservation Easement Database, and there might occasionally be something on there, but for the most part, it's pretty good.
Well, never mind. You got it. Good job.
Okay. All right.
So I think
Good
one of the things
question.
we need to decide for them is how do we want to go about looking at these? So discussion on that, are we gonna do it on our own time and bring in some filled out score sheets? Or do we want to do everything from scratch here? What's everybody think?
I think we probably need to do it on our own, bring them filled out. Because otherwise we'll be here forever arguing about points and stuff. If we just bring in our scores and then go over them, how many applications do we have?
We have 7 at the moment. And then I have a callback to someone now that the window closed technically the February 28th. But we haven't moved forward quite in the timeliness that I had anticipated. So it is up to you. If I've promised a phone call to this other gentleman by Friday. If he wants to move forward, and if you want to incorporate that last kind of application, then I will or won't at your direction. Because I think, we have that opportunity since we haven't started meeting these or doing any evaluations yet. If that person wants to, we could consider it. Or I can tell them that, you need to wait for the fall and the next cycle or whatever.
I think we
So.
could answer that now. Like, I would make a motion that since we haven't started, we could allow people who've reached out to be entered into the program.
I agree. We only have 7. The more the merrier at this point.
Everyone in favor?
I'm seeing nods everywhere. Okay, then I will take that forward, and I'll reach out to him, let him know. Okay, so then our next step going forward is going to be, I will email you the link to the map and the table to say, how to score, and another copy of the score sheet so you have it in front of you. And I'll send you a link to the county website so you can easily go and get the agenda online and these 3 practice parcels from tonight's agenda. So you'll have the parcel number, and most of these don't have, some of these have addresses, so that makes it a little easier. But we just have 3 parcels, so it's not too complicated. And you guys take a stab at, between now and the April meeting, filling out the score sheet and bring them to the meeting. Your scores and your assessment of how you think you want to vote. And then we can use that meeting you would go through the process of discussing, and I don't know if you want to discuss your votes or you just want to have however you want to discuss and arrive at a decision of voting on, does this project get recommended to the board for acquisition or not? So, we will need to collect and get your score sheets, I think. They need to be a part of the record for the board so that they kind of have this understanding of what kind of backed up your vote, collective. It's going to be one collective vote, yes or no. It's not like you're not sending individual votes, but your sheets do represent the technical background of your vote. Does that make sense? So we would like to be able to provide that to the board.
I'm still just going to go on record here.
Yes.
I'm uncomfortable recommending to the board without a value.
Oh, with a dollar amount, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I can say this looks like a worthwhile property, but if they want all $42 million for that 4 acres,
Right,
then it's not worthwhile in the end,
right, gotcha.
and so I mean, I can say it's a worthy property to examine, but until we get values, I'm just not real comfortable saying I recommend anything to the board, if that makes sense.
Is there a way potentially, if, because they can also put in their application what they're looking for in that, but if they don't, I assume you're doing the real estate analysis, right? Is there a way to put in there potentially this is about a $2,000 an acre property we would expect to acquire for no more than 3,000, or is that a number you could give us?
Good. I'm hesitant to do that if we haven't actually negotiated.
Yeah.
I don't like to tell them what I'm thinking and then go into the negotiation.
It does
It's
ruin
not
it.
usually a good thing.
See, we can't pay over appraised value, so I'm coming at it from the opposite direction.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Could we incorporate the
just like the current, the tax value of the property?
We
Since
could,
that's
but
public.
that's so wildly different than what
I
the
know.
actual value may be that
Caleb?
Oh, we got red
unfortunately-
lighted.
Yeah, you're,
You
we
got red
red
lighted.
lighting, because your voice isn't being picked up, because you're not on the mic. Yeah.
do I need to go up there? Okay, we'll start with.
You can lean over my shoulder, stand over here.
Okay.
Yeah, just come on up here.
Okay,
Mike will pick you up.
let's see, where were we? Oh, yeah, so I'm hesitant to provide a value because we haven't negotiated for the property. That's one thing. Two is if we put in a property appraiser's value, that's not generally accurate. Very rarely. It can be really bad, not accurate. And the assessed value is not the same as an appraisal. An appraisal is an official, you have to be an appraiser to do that. It's a certain certified skill, and that's not what I do. I'm not saying what I do isn't accurate, but it's not the same thing.
It might not work for every parcel, but if there was a nearby comparable, could you put that down? Like a nearby comp?
Potentially, we can discuss that. I'm kind of on the same sheet of music as you, but and we talked about this a lot before, if I recall.
What if we had just like a final approval? Like we give it to you, like these are the three we think you go negotiate with the landowner, and then you come back and you say, well, this one's 4 million, this one's 78 million.
Well, I think
He's gonna do that for the board.
Oh,
yeah, I
And-
think
and
I
that's
think
where they get to make that decision.
they make the decision on
Okay.
that. I mean, plus we don't know what we're not always going to know what the owner wants for the property either. Especially since they don't necessarily have to be the person nominating it either. So they may or may not want to sell. They may have a wildly skewed opinion of what the property is worth. It could be good for us. It could be really low. Great. We get it at a bargain. Or it could be really high and we have trouble negotiating it. There's just a lot of variables in there. I'd rather, and that's kind of what, and I didn't know how to, we're all new doing this. When I put in my assessment or my recommendation, I was kind of looking at it from a standpoint of, do we need to buy this because somebody else is going to scoop it up and develop it later? Or is this something that, I think is kind of safe and it's probably not going to be developed because of what it is, Is it going to be harder to develop because it's wetland? I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but the one that we were different on, the split opinion, that was kind of where I was at on it,
Oh,
sort of.
okay.
So I don't know
I
if
like that
was-
analysis that you put in there about why you didn't recommend. It's like, it's all wetland, it's tiny, it's not going anywhere. That made sense to me.
And I've walked that property too, so I was kind of like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my 2 cents on the value. I got what you're saying, and I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, yeah, I'd buy this if it was not so much money. Let's pick it up. If it's really expensive, no, we got better things to buy. But we don't really know that at this stage of the game. is
Yeah,
what I would say.
Just trying to honestly not waste your time.
No, I'm with you.
But
I'm with you on
If
that.
there was a way, if there's a
I
way
got
to.
a feeling though, the good stuff is gonna kind of shake to the top.
Up anyway. Okay.
And if we can make a deal, we'll make a deal. That's kind of the way I look at it.
So maybe the tact we should take in recommendations is we're recommending assuming an agreeable price.
Yeah, and
And
that's
then-
always gonna be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get everything we want, and some stuff we're gonna be surprised, and we do get it, I think. So,
Can I ask one, are some of the ones that's been nominated, are they nominated by other people? In other words, is somebody out there saying, is some of them where I say Cooper's got some land that we ought to buy?
A
And
couple,
Cooper doesn't know anything about it, is that the case?
I think one or maybe two were like that. I think the others were the property owner.
Right. I'm just thinking that if that is the case, the first question that somebody should ask is go find that man that owns it and say, is this something you would even consider? If it's not, you're wasting a lot of this man's time fooling with it.
Right, and I'm gonna go through those applications and reach out to every property owner and have that conversation of, are you aware, first of all, that about this? And, if they didn't already sign it, and then even if they did, then we need to have the conversation of, here's the process, here's when the meeting will be, you know, please come and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'll definitely be reaching out. Because, there is no point, if I reach out and the property owner says, yeah, I don't even want you to consider it, then I'm not bringing it to you. I will bring it to you in the extent of coming and saying, somebody nominated, you know, this property, but I've reached out to the property owner and they're not interested in moving forward, so, you know, end of story there. Yeah.
There's still value in reaching out to them though, because.
Yeah, they may change their mind and,
Mark, if he
you
was
know,
here,
next
Mark
year
would
wanna,
tell you, yeah, sometimes it's no and then later it becomes yes. So
yes.
I like hitting them up and staying on them.
Of the 7 applicants, is they split between conservation easement and full fee, or is it, which way does that lean?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I haven't gotten into them to that level to really read yet. I was kind of noticing, that we got them and that they were signed. There was because there's actually one more that came in, very early on that the applicant didn't sign it. And I reached back out and emailed and said, you know, thank you for, you know, submitting this application, but it wasn't signed. Can you please, you know, actually had, the first 3 were like that. And 2 of the 3, you know, signed it and resubmitted, but 1 didn't, so.
Is there a chance to partner with other groups for,
For acquisition?
yeah?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
How,
Yeah, so we'd take a look at that, and I think as we get a little more seasoned and we develop some of those relations, it'll be easier and quicker for staff to say, that one, you know, is gonna be a good match, we can probably, you know, interest, you know, this group or that group to.
Camp Landings
Right,
zone
yeah.
or,
It's
you know.
already next to, you know, property that St. Johns River Water Management already has a, you know, an easement over, and maybe, you know,
That'd
we
be a
wanna.
good layer
that
to
kind
have,
of thing.
actually, is their buffer zone around camp.
Repulator?
Yeah.
It's, so the Repulator, just for everybody to know, is 3-mile radius around Blanding. So I can give you the layer,
Okay,
but
Yeah.
it's pretty easy.
Just trying to think of other ways to help you raise funds, because I think it's gonna be, I mean, 42 million sounds like a lot, but.
Well, and then the other thing too, when Kim was in here from North Florida Land Trust, we missed the cycle for the Rural and Family Lands Program. But potentially, if we know of some that are in the queue, we can approach North Florida Land Trust after we've approved them and say, hey, can you add this in the Rural and Family Lands Program and try to get a 50% match there? So that's another one outside of the Blanding buffer that could supply money. Which then would raise the score, right? Because one of the boxes is clearly dollar value of,
yeah.
I see nodding.
Yes. Matching dollars are always
Oh,
encouraged.
they are the best.
Yes. Okay.
So just to clarify, make sure we're all on the same page, we're gonna take these 3 before the next meeting, run through the matrix with the map, and come back with our scores on practice 3. And our April meeting will be practicing our discussion and how we'll move through approval on a fake set. And then potentially maybe 10 days out from the May meeting, we'll be available to look at the parcels, and we'll try to do the full suite of 7 to 9, whatever it ends up being, in May.
Yeah, I mean, 7 isn't a huge number, so,
think so.
I think we can bring them all to you. You know, whether you go through all 7 in one meeting, or we split it up into 2 or something, that's fine if discussion runs, you
Yeah.
know.
The only thing I would say, and I know this stuff with the practice, the lead time wasn't that important with it. But for the May one, like for me, I'll have to sit down on a weekend and focus and go through them all. So
Yeah,
getting that stuff out to us a little earlier would be helpful.
right, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I will make a point of doing a 2-week, you know, kind of window if, there's no reason we can't do that.
And then May would get us through, and just, I'm trying to get it right in my own head. So the May meeting, we would vote on whether yay or nay they're into the program. Then we revisit them again to say if they're priority within the program, right? Isn't there a second tier?
Yes, so, yeah, the first one is, so in May, you'd get a short report from us saying it meets the, you know, criteria, or it doesn't kind of thing.
And these are
just
the
that-
short reports that we're
Um,
looking at, the examples. Or is this a long report?
That's really the long one.
Okay.
At this point, yeah, there was a shorter version. Just more or less to tell you where it is, and then did it kind of meet a quick assessment, at least for the goals of. And then June would be, and so at that one, you would vote to basically ask, at that point, you're elevating it to the eligibility status, and then staff does the more detailed analysis. And then we will, and I've just thought about potentially see if I will take a look at the contract that we have with the consultants to see what kind of lead time do we have, what can they bring to the analysis part of that. They wouldn't be bringing you something for that first assessment meeting, but in May, but for the June one, if our timing can work out, perhaps we can incorporate their assessment as well. That's the ideal goal, is to have them kind of doing that. And then,
So potentially.
then
like
you'd have
in-
a decision, the final decision that you would make about going on to the board.
Be the priority.
Yeah.
So like in May, we're gonna, let's call it 7, whatever it ends up
Yep.
being. In May, we put anywhere from 0 to 7 forward into the program.
Right.
And then potentially in June, the contractors come back with a little bit more about those whatever made it, let's call it 7 made it.
Yeah.
But potentially us as members would need to come to June with the top 2 or 3 of that pool that we think are priority. Have a little lead work done so that we could then hash out in the group what we're as a group gonna say is our priority.
Mhm.
Who knows, maybe everybody has the same top 3 and it'd be wonderful.
Well,
But that'd push us through June.
yeah.
And then when does the next round start?
Presumably, we would do that, I mean, if we're gonna do this like every 6 months, because that was kind of our goal, probably we'd have I don't know if we want a 2-month or a 3-month window again. We hadn't really talked about it, but can be as long as anybody thinks we need. But probably it would be, July, August, or August, September, or October, whatever. And then we'd start that cycle over again of bringing them forward.
So if we could have a layer of proposed, I know you can put the address in, but
Mhm.
if you can just have them, so you can just turn them on and see them all. And then as we move forward, it would be nice to have ones that are moving forward, and then the next layer of proposed. Because then, if we get a piece that's next to a piece that we're trying to acquire, because it's gonna take him a while to get there.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does. The weird look is I'm going pros and cons, and they're competing for attention. But yeah, we can certainly put layers in. Obviously, once we've acquired things, they'll go into a whole new layer. So,
And the only reason I was trying to game out the timing goes back to that rural and family lands. So if we can get our sync matched up where ours is closing right as the rural and family lands proposal is opening,
Mhm.
then we know what's going to the program. We could reach out to North Florida Land Trust and say, is this something would you put these in as a project? And then we could try to work forwards purchasing together.
yeah,
Because we're out of sync now with that proposal system.
okay. What
I'd have to
timing do
some.
we?
I'd have to ask. I don't know off the top of my head, but I
Yeah.
remember when she was here. I think so.
I feel like it was, we were just off, right? Yeah.
So it might even take a year to get back around, but
But keep in mind too that, leaving you, it's then got to go to the board and they've got to make decisions. So there's another, month or 2 months. Well, 2 months easily because, and maybe more, because they'll vote to basically say, pull the plug on, or the trigger on acquiring. But
Mhm.
then there's the several months of negotiations and stuff, so we wouldn't acquire for quite a bit.
so the optimal time would be get the board approval right as the rural family lands is opening so
Right.
that you could talk with
Yeah.
North Florida Land Trust and try to put projects together.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just trying to understand timing.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay. You can think of other programs like that that we need to take into account and timing, and just let me know. We'll,
Yeah, the ACUB
we
is
can make it.
year-round, or REPI rather, so there's no real timing on the REPI side of the house. That one's
Okay.
easy.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Tony,
Um,
for the old business?
for this part, no, I think we've talked about all of that part. We wrapped in the map update and discussion, so,
Okay.
back to you.
Yep, so the only other item on the agenda, Heather and I have served faithfully as your president and vice president, but we have elections to do for the new fiscal year, or the new calendar year. My question is, can we nominate people who aren't here?
No, you really shouldn't do that.
I think it's only
Nice
fair.
try.
So we need somebody, let's, I guess, do president first? Chairman, I
Chair,
guess? Thank
yeah.
you, chair. Anybody willing to volunteer?
You're doing
I knew that
I
was
think you're
coming.
doing a great job, Matt.
I appreciate the vote of confidence. Anybody else have a competing opinion? Love to hear it.
Unless you and Heather want to switch, and y'all can tag team it.
Would you like to, does anybody like to do vice president? Or we keep Heather too?
Again, I think Heather's doing a great job, so. I like y'all as the face of our committee.
Okay. Wow, it's
Yeah,
getting thick.
y'all are doing great over there.
And this would be through the end of the calendar year.
Yeah, it's a calendar year.
Okay. Well, seeing as we didn't really do much in the first term, if
It's
it's
not a
okay.
super onerous,
Really, it'd be
obligation.
on the alternate Tuesday, going to the board meeting where stuff's coming up, right? Would be the only real,
yeah, really, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only other thing that you need to do is, yeah, and it's, yeah, really just the chair or the vice chair can fill in if you can't make it.
Okay.
And honestly, when other things go forward like that, typically the board doesn't have a whole lot of questions. This being the first time, they will.
Okay.
But,
well, I hear a motion from the good Cooper Murphy that we keep chair and vice chair the same. I hear a second from Mr. Paget. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, with that vote, I guess continuing on as the chair, I will open it for public comment, which I don't think there is any. And then I will call it closed. Dodie, unless you have anything else for us?
no, thank you very much.
Perfect. We'll see everybody in